All right, if I can get you guys back in here. I don't know what happened last time, but like I said, devices, something's going on. I think everybody's still in the last stream. Let me see if I can get in there. Tell them to come over here. Hopefully, they're watching myself. Okay, be the infinity. Hey, Ndewo, how are you doing? Yeah, I was on another live. The thing froze, and I don't know. I've had so many of these things happen. I don't take them seriously anymore. Some are returning. Okay, is Ikenga and Agun the same? No. So Ikenga is your what is often called like a vital energy. So your chi brings you into the world for a specific purpose, right? Or not like, and when I say purpose, I don't mean like to do one thing or to like, I don't mean in like a professional sense or anything like that. There's a holistic, there's a frame of existence that your chi brings you into the world to live. Now, if you're doing as your chi, if you're aligned with your chi, if you're doing as your chi wants or brought you to the world to be, there's a heightened ability to do that you will feel. If it's sometimes, if you have the chi of an athlete, right? You have the chi of an athlete, and when you perform, you play sports, there's a heightening of self that you will have that other people may not be able to match because that's not their chi. If you have the chi of a writer and you're writing, there's a heightening of self that you will be able to do. Wrestler, things like that, just various different things. There's certain people you'll be around that you'll be able to like function a lot faster and flow faster and talk faster. There's other people you'll be around and you'll feel like you're being drained, right? So that increasing of self, the thing they call the zone in the West, is a part of the zone is a part of your Ikenga, but that whole frame of thing is called your Ikenga, right? Ikenga is your power to do, your power to go. But then some people say your place of strength, but I argue that's not what it means. So that's your Ikenga. Your Agun is the mind of Chukwu, the mind of the creator, right? And the mind of the creator is one that you also have. You and the creator, as the way you have a chi, you also have the same mind of the chi. You understand? The Agun is seen as the inner mind, right? If you've seen a lot of Igbo folk tales, the turtle is always seen as the wisest animal, right? And the reason this is because the turtle is able to go into itself. So the inner mind, the mind behind the mind, is your Agun. Now that mind, that consciousness is the part of you that reincarnates. It's the part of you that comes back and so forth. So your Ikenga and your Agun are very different, right? Your Ikenga is very much about doing and being, right? Your Agun is more about realization and knowing. It's a mental, internal, psychological, spiritual thing, right? And so that is the difference between the two. But no, they are not the same. How do you know what your chi wants? So I have a video, Chi Explained. I think that towards the end, I break down some different ways you can tell if things are aligned with your chi or not, right? But understanding Ikenga, understanding the fact that your Ikenga activates when your chi is satisfied or when you're in alignment with your chi, it gives you a clear picture of what your chi wants, or what your chi brought you into the world to be. And it's very simple. It's not simple, but it's more simple than often given credit for, right? The things that resonate with you are the things that are of your chi. The things that drain you or take from you are not of your chi, right? So if you are, like I said again with the Ikenga thing, if maybe you're doing a particular activity and you come alive and you do things like when I teach and when I'm discussing these topics that I find interesting, I light up and I'm able to just go at 100 miles an hour and things like that. So it tells me that I'm in the right path, right? There's a phrase that people use, which is living your bliss, right? And that's a key to understanding your chi. Our ancestors often connect the chi to the sun, right? And so the best way to know if you're in alignment with your chi is the way you know you're in alignment with the sun. If you're outside and you're feeling the sun, you're going to feel its warmth, right? If you're aligned with your chi, you're also going to feel its warmth. It's the exact same thing. It's resonance is a good way of knowing what your chi wants. But then there's also the phrase onye ekwe chi ekwe, meaning that if what you allow, your chi allows, or that you move, your chi will follow. You understand? So you're not beholden to your chi. You're not just here to serve your chi and things like that, or be subservient to your chi. Your chi, you and your chi have a partnership. It's a mutual understanding amongst each other. You understand? So if you want to move in a direction and you are moving a direction with the whole of yourself, your chi will come with you, right? Your chi will come with you, even if it's the wrong direction. So that kind of thing. So yeah, a lot of times when you see people do Iga chi or anything where they're communicating with their chi, they're letting their chi know that, hey, this is what I want. I'm going to do. I want you to be with me. I want you to protect me. I want you to give me guidance and wisdom and understanding, so that when I walk into this thing, I'm walking in with my chi, that type of thing. And then they go forward and they do that thing. So that's the difference between the two. But yeah, so Onwa ano, we are entering Onwa ano. Before I talk about Onwa ano, I wanted to explain the moons, right? And because I had about 2 questions today as far as like, how are you able to tell when one moon begins and one ends? Onwa means moon. So what we're tracking, or what we use to track the year, is the cycles of the moon in the sky. Everything within Odinane and Bibo is in alignment with nature, right? So if you're interested in knowing how to align yourself with Onwa, the moon, it's very literally the moon. So it's that. So I hope I brought my son's little toy ball. I hope this thing works, right? So you'll see the moon cycles, right? And what you'll see is, like, let's say we begin with, or right before a new moon, you're not going to see the moon in the sky, right? Right before a new moon, you're not going to see the moon. So I believe tonight you won't be able to see the moon. I could be wrong. I haven't looked, but I believe tonight, if calculations are correct, you won't be able to see the moon. Now, when the new moon comes, you're going to see a sliver of light. It's just going to be a little sliver of light. And that sliver is going to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. Then you'll hit a full moon, right? Somebody had asked if the full moon is the beginning of or we're going from full moon to full moon. And no, we're not. So you'll see a full moon. It's going to sit there for a little bit. And then what's going to happen is you're going to see a darkness. If you're just from your eye, it's planetary alignments and things like that. But from the eye, it's going to look like a darkness, just spreading till the moon disappears. Now, when the new moon appears, a new moon begins. So you'll see that in all cultures that follow the lunar calendar, you're going to see a lot of their festivals are going to align almost like identically. Like, for example, Onwa Ifeke and Ramadan, just the exact same flow, the exact same thing, and then the next one and the next one. And after counting about 13, it goes on to the next year. Now, our ancestors did not count years, right? They were not into counting years, because the belief is you count things to reach an end. So when you begin counting things, rushing the ending of that thing, if that makes sense. There was a document that one of the colonialists, or the colonial administration in Nigeria, they were trying to do a census in Igbo land. I'm discussing this in my next video as well. It's the sacred marketplace explained. Because what a lot of people don't know is that the marketplace, the soil of the marketplace, is considered more sacred than the soil of the main Arushi in the town. And in the video, I'll explain why that is. But the British had written that the Igbos had refused to participate in the census. Like, everything they try to do, Igbo people were always, no, we're not trying to do that. No, we're not trying to do that, until, of course, the thing ended. So they came with the census. They were refusing to participate in things like that. And they were saying that because of their beliefs, that they don't believe you're supposed to count your children. You're not supposed to count your family size. You're not supposed to count your wealth or your livestock, things like that. And so, yeah, we have a belief that we don't count things, because that means you're rushing towards the end. But yeah, we're entering Onwa ano. Onwa ano. Onwa ano is the 4th moon. The name, very literally, Onwa ano. And the number 4 is very significant in Igbo cosmology. The number 4 represents completion, or absolution, or finality, right? And in the sense that when Chineke created the world, right? When Chineke created the world on the principle of force. So things manifest as Eke, Uri, Afon, and Gwo. Eke is light. It's many things, but it's also it's light at an elemental level. It's light. Uriye is water. Afo is earth or mineral, soil, and then Nkwo is wind. Now, all of these things are the four major ingredients that make creation. I think today scientifically we understand that matter manifests, or not matter, but things exist. Yeah, matter. I think, I don't know, but things manifest in four forms, which is plasma, which is light. Again, with the AK, water, which is, or liquid, my bad, which is Uriye. Soil, I'm under the weather, so I'm going to be a lot slower. Soil, or not soil, solids, and then gas, and then there's, the four cardinal directions and things like that. So the number four is very significant in Igbo cosmology and just about any cosmological system you encounter, because just by observing nature, you'll see that things are completed in numbers of four. It is also believed that an individual is made up of four essences, which is your chi, your eke, your agon, and your mo. And I discuss that a lot in my videos. I also have a video called How to Make a Human Soul. And that goes into the concept of chi, eke, agon, and mo. So yeah, Onwa no for a lot of communities. So it's funny because there's no official New Year in Igbo culture. But based on your understanding of the moons and seasons and things like that, each community chooses how it's going to interpret that basic algorithm, or that basic structure, right? So some communities will celebrate Onwa, or the first moon, right? Other communities will celebrate the second moon, because in Igbo cosmology, things come in twos, right? I mean, I said that four is completion, but the four is a doubling of two, right? So things come in twos, as Chi and Eke, as Ala and Igwe, as you'll see all you'll see all these like dualistic parallels in Igbo cosmology that all line up with each other, if you line them up and then do the math on them. So some of them will celebrate Onwa Abo as the beginning of a new year, right? So the first moon comes, it's like, okay, if we get two moons, then we officially have a new year, right? And that kind of thing. And then some of them will do on the Onwa, no, I think, correct me if I'm wrong if you're from there, but I think Nkanu and Enugu celebrates Onwa no in a very big way. So that kind of thing. You'll see a lot of celebrations now. But for the most part, there's no overriding theme for Onwa no, right? No overriding theme. I would recommend checking out the channel Ngozi Chukwuka. She is an expert on the calendar system that our ancestors followed, and so forth. Ngozi Chukwuka is her name. And when she was discussing this, it's in Igbo, so if you don't speak Igbo, it'll be harder. But her Igbo is like perfect. So I low-key feel like even if you don't speak Igbo, you'll be able to understand what she's saying. But yeah, her Igbo is, or not understand, but get a sense of what she's saying. And it's a good way to learn too. I have one of my patrons saying that he listens to her videos, and it's to help him learn Igbo and things like that, because it's so clear. So Ngozi Chukwuka is her name. But what she said in her video was a discussion of four, the number four itself, and what it means in Igbo cosmology as a number that represents completion, absolution, and the fact that all things manifest in fours, right? And that Chi, Eke, Agu, and Mo must come together to create life, right? That without Eke, without light, fire, those things, you cannot have life. Without water, without all those things. So in Igbo cosmology, we give thanks to every single thing that is necessary in our creation, right? If you are a religious person, right? If you're a religious person, there's typically a concept of God, right? And God is given thanks because God is your creator. God is the reason what sustains you and gives you life, right? In Igbo cosmology, while we believe God does these things, we also give thanks to water, because water is just as necessary for doing that thing. We give thanks to light. We give thanks to earth. We give thanks to earth, or I said earth, air, wind, those things. They're all necessary. We give thanks to our ancestors. They are part of our creation. We give thanks to the things that give us the food we eat, what sustains us, and so forth, right? You'll often see when people do Igafo, right, which is what's the translation for Igafo? It's like a ceremony that you do with your, or it's like I don't want to say prayer, but it's like an interface you do with the Ofo, right? And during Igafo, an individual will declare their principles, because Ofo it stands for truth. So you'll have your Ofo, and you will say you'll give thanks to your ancestors. You'll acknowledge your ancestors. You'll acknowledge the earth, all the things that come together to make this event happen, or the moment happen, or life happen, right? You just acknowledge them. Either say, "Come take Oji," which is offering them a cola, or offering them a sacrifice, or you would just say, I greet you, I thank you for being here, that kind of thing. And then you begin speaking after that, right? And so what you'll often see is in that process, you'll get somebody will say, give a shout out to Chi or to Eke, Uri, Afo, and Nkwo. Is I greet Eke, I get Uri, I greet Afo, I greet Nkwo, right? Now, those are the 4 days in the Igbo calendar. Like I said, they also represent the 4 elements. They also represent the 4 segments that Chukwu used to create the earth. And without these 4 spirits, these 4 essences, we don't have life. So we always acknowledge Eke, Ori, Afo, and Nkwo. I think I have some questions. Yes, Ngoji, thank you very much for that. Ado Obiashi and Ikenga Nation. Yes, that is the person. That is the person. Is fasting during Onwa Ifeke traditional practice as well? Yes, it is. So it's fasting during Onwa Ifeke is practice, and then in the last 4 days or the last few days, it's either last day or last 4 days. The community then has a feast and wrestles. They go into like wrestling. There's a lot of wrestling that happens in this time and things like that. But yes, it is part of the tradition. Now, if on a general scale, now if you want to know on a community scale, you of course have to go to your people to see how it's acknowledged. What you will find is there will be a parallel with abstaining. There will be something dealing with abstaining or something dealing with strength or strengthening yourself during that 3rd moon, right? The 3rd Ikenga moon. So it'll always be there. How it is done in each community differs. So I interpret it as fasting or abstaining, because even if you step out and look on a global scale, you see cultures all over the world, they're fasting during this moon. You get Passover, you get Lent, you get Ramadan. I looked at the Chinese. I couldn't remember what I saw in Chinese culture, and given the parallels we see a lot with Hindu culture, since it's also based on cosmology and observation, I wouldn't be surprised if there was something similar around this time of the year. So yeah, Onwa Ifeke is a fasting moon. Onwa Ifeke is a fasting moon. Now, how am I going to spend my Onwa? No. Onwa, I know, like I said, there's nothing specific to it. It is the 4th moon. Some people see it as the new year because 4 is completion. So, okay, we've had 4 moons. Okay, that means we're going to have a full year this year, that kind of thing. And so since it represents completion, I'm going to dedicate it to finishing projects. I'm going to dedicate it to finishing anything that I carried in over the year that I need to finish and be done with and be able to begin anew without it either burdening me or causing any type of interface or issue. So yeah, there are vids on traditional wrestling. I don't know if that's a question or a statement, but yeah, I'm sure there are videos on traditional wrestling. Ikwere culture their wrestling tradition is still very strong. A lot of the Ebonyi and Enugu cultures still do wrestling. They're very, very into it. Some communities, it's more prominent than others. I'm sure Ohafia and Abia and things like that are also have very strong wrestling traditions that are still alive. In my community, I'm working to see if we can start reviving it. I have no clue why, but it's something that we don't do anymore in my community. So I'm going to try to find out what the heck's going on and then work to see if we can get that done and so forth. Is the chi of the Chinese and the Igbo similar? I'm going to make a video on this because I get the question a lot, and I figured I would too. But yes and no. So the no is that what the Chinese call chi is really what we call Ikenga, right? Chi is Ikenga. But now if you remember that your Ikenga is realization of your chi, is your chi giving you the power you need to do what it needs you to do, right? Then the differences kind of blur a little bit. But the chi is closer to the concept of vital energy, whereas in Igbo, your chi is the spark that creates you. Now, that spark that creates you also gives you that vital energy at the level you need to do what's necessary to do. One of my favorite proverbs is, if the chi of a blind man sends him into battle, it's already accounted for his blindness, right? So if your chi created you as a blind person, but then tells you that you have to go into battle, you're going to win. Just go ahead and go. You're fine. You're going to win, that kind of thing. Another one is that if my Ikenga is activated, I can wrestle in the world of spirits. Right. And this correlates with the story of Ojadili. Ojadili was a warrior who got bored of wrestling mortals in the mortal world. He had defeated every single opponent the world had to offer. And so in some version of the story, it's boredom, but in other versions of the story, it's because he just had to find the next challenge. He goes into the Alam Mo after he had defeated everybody in Alam Maru, or the world of mortals. He enters Alam Mo to find a greater opponent, which is the world of the spirits. And different communities have their different spin on the story. And cosmologically, it's a very rich story. Like there's a lot of code in what's happening in the story. And it's what I was told is, most of us know the short version, but what I was told is a multi-day epic that is told to children over, like, okay, this episode, that episode, and so forth. And I'll do a video on Ojadili, so I don't want to do any spoilers, but but since it's mythology, I don't think there's anything as a spoiler with mythology. But he enters the world of the spirits, and he wrestles 7 spirits. Right after wrestling 7 spirits, he finds out that he's trapped. He's now stuck in the world of spirits because more opponents keep coming and coming and coming, and it's never enough. So he tries to escape, and one of the spirits grabs him while he's escaping, and that is the reason why human beings have a line down their back. It's because of the claw of the spirit. Now I was trying to pull him back in. That's the story. Now the Bini have a very interesting twist on the story. It's the story of Jeremy. Very similar thing, but when he enters that world, he fights a 7-headed devil, or a 7-headed monster, right? And so after chopping up all their heads, Jeremy never returns, right? So that can be left to interpretation, because again, he was always looking for the next challenge, next challenge, next challenge. And part of the lesson is that the challenges never stop coming. So he enters the world of the spirits in order to meet the ultimate challenge, but keeps going further in and further in and further and further in, and never returns, that kind of thing. Ojadili returns in some versions of the story. In other versions, he gets the same thing, keeps going and going and going, never comes back, and that kind of thing. So are you going to do more videos on Arashi? Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I realize it's been a while since I've done one. So there's a couple I've got going that I have. I'm going to do Njoku-ji very soon. I figured I wouldn't get too many requests for Njoku-ji because it's hard for a person in the modern world to say, okay, tell me about the Arashi of yams, because it's just it doesn't play the same role in our lives, like in my life at least, as it would people back then. But there's a lot more to it, So I'm going to just, usually I do it by request, but I'm just going to push that one through. Njoku-ji is coming soon. I'm going to be doing a video on Amadioha. And I'm going to be working on a video on Udo. I'm still doing my research on Udo. And what's the other one? Ogungun. I'm looking at Ogungun. So those are 4 that I know for sure that are coming very soon. If you have any more, and then Nechuku, or Eke, right? Kamusu, Nechuku, right? So that one is definitely coming soon. The next video I'm doing is going to be on the market days. And in the video, I have a story where all of the Arashi are they have a conflict, right? And Chuku has to resolve this conflict I'm saying Arashi, but the word is Abara, right? So all of the Abara are having this conflict, and Chuku has to resolve this conflict. So that's the beginning of the next video. So keep an eye on that, because that one's coming soon. Let me see if there are any more questions. I think I'm about to hop out. I didn't really have a set plan for this one. I said, let me just go live and let people know how the Onwa Ifeke went. And like I said, I'm under the weather, so if I'm boring anybody, isn't Njoku-ji agriculture? Yes, yeah. So Njoku-ji is is associated with agriculture, and then most specifically the yam. You understand, but agriculture in general. There's also a lot of anyways, I'll discuss it in the video. But yeah, agriculture, you are right. Yes. Does Omumu and Ikenga align with each other? Yes. Yeah. So yes. So how do I explain it this way? If one is active, the other one's active, because they come from the same source, if that makes sense. If one's active, the other one's active, One thing this is gonna sound very weird, right? It's not gonna make sense to a lot of people. And I hope it's not misinterpreted, because I'm not the messenger for a lot of these things. I'm not the right messenger for a lot of these things, and I'll explain why. So I was on a plane back from Nigeria, and I was in the plane. I was bored, and They didn't have really like the best music selection, in my opinion. I think my choice were between like Eminem and Erykah Badu. So Erykah Badu won. I didn't typically listen to Erykah Badu, and I put it in. I was listening, and then one thing I really noticed that was different from because I took like most of the artists I listened to were male. One thing I noticed that was very different. It was Baduism was the album was, and this is just weird thinking, probably lack of sleep, was that things seem to come towards her, right? Whereas with a lot of male narratives, it's always, I'm going after this, I got it. I'm going after this, I got it. I'm going after, it's always outwards, right? But things were always coming towards her and she always had to make a decision. Just in the, I don't think she did this on purpose. It's just regular, and it's regular, I guess, life for women. Again, I'm not the messenger for that. You let me know, right? Things were coming towards her. She had to make a decision. Come towards her. She had to make a decision, that kind of thing. And I noticed that just that gravity and that difference. And that thing kind of exemplifies Omumu, right? Omumu, it draws in. Omumu draws things in, right? And Ikenga does acts on the world. It goes out, right? It's external. It's so internal, external, internal, external. But it's Omumu that brings out what's within you. So creativity, manifestation. A lot of people are very interested in how our ancestors did manifestation. Being able to build an altar to Omumu, which I've done one for myself. I'll show how that's done probably in the future, and that kind of thing, giving it gifts and praise and things like that, and like through that manifesting that you will live. I'll have more of this, I'll have more of that, and then bringing it to fruition. Now the thing is that's really interesting about Omumu, and I have a video called Omumu Explained, so check that one out. Omumu is what makes every single Arushi powerful. When you go to an Arushi, it is the Omumu of that Arushi that you're trying to interact with. That's what makes you get things from it, right? And some Arushi are themselves are just Omumu. That's specifically what they're for, right? The most popular Arushi right now in Igbo land is called Ogungu in a community called Ikeja, or Okija, sorry, not Ikeja, Okija. And that Ogungun is a device. It's a device that extracts or links you or connects you to the Omumu of the earth. So you are able to utilize the earth's manifesting powers for your own ambitions or your own things that you need in your life and things like that. So it shows you the place that Omumu plays, right? Most Arishi are dedicated to utilizing the Omumu of a certain thing. You understand? That type of thing. So isn't it, I guess, what does it say? Why? Those you deny say why. Oh no, why means woman. So maybe they have a different interpretation, or you can ask them. They can give more details on that. Who is the Arishi of iron? My fam says I used to have an iron shot for them. Cool. Yeah. So there are multiple Arishi that relate to iron, and so there's a video I have. If you want to know more about them, I'm trying to remember which video they're in. They're in Traditional Education Explained, but I'll give them their own video. So there are specific communities that specialize in iron smelting. And in the communities that specialize in iron smelting, the ancestor that brought that art into the community is typically, he becomes the patron ancestor of that craft work, right? So, and I'm trying to remember some names off the top of my head. It's just not there. I don't know why they're not coming to me. But Nkwere is an ironsmithing community. They have their own. Oka is an ironsmithing community. They have their own. Leja, Udi. These are all different. I'm listing different communities that participate in this. They all have their own based on that. Now, what was very interesting is that if you trace the stories of those specific ancestors, you will now start seeing where the iron smelting tradition came from in Igbo land. If you're into history, check out Leja. Everything always points back to that Leja Udi area. And that Leja Udi area has the world's oldest iron artifacts, and especially on a mass scale, but just the world's oldest period, which are the slags at Leja. If you're a history, archaeology nerd like myself, that one is one to look into. I also cover that in the Osu Explained video, because that understanding is very important to understanding this concept of Osu that has been very, 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 very misunderstood and bastardized in the modern interpretation. So yeah, I think I'm going to read one more and I'm going to hop out. I think there is one more, so I hop out. So other practices incorporate. What daily otherwise practices incorporate align your Chi, Kenga, and Omumu. Okay, yeah. So if you want like a longer answer, um the in the Omumu video, I have the like just different things you can do as far as Omumu is concerned. In the Ikenga video, I have one for that, and then the Chi explained. So Chi explained, Ikenga explained, and Omumu explained. All have different things. I think I was trying to explain something about Omumu earlier, and I like got sidetracked. But one thing I know about Omumu is that when an altar for Omumu is set up, they're typically set up like pyramids. Like they're usually conical. Sometimes they're like step pyramids. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Igbo pyramids, but that's what that is. You understand? And so they're set up like pyramids. And what happens is when people come to they're usually at the front, your front door. When people come to your house, you say something nice to it, you greet it, and you give it thanks, right? And then you go in. You know, like you treat it like a member of the house and that type of thing. And the thing is that within a person, when you are good to Omumu, your own Omumu awakens because Omumu has a sympathetic nature, right? So when, for example, if a woman has a child, that because she has created the highest form of manifestation, her Omumu is very powerful. And what you'll find is then a lot of women will now come and visit her and either receive powder from her or just touch her or hail her and praise her and things like that so that their own will be stronger. One of the best ways to strengthen your Omumu is to get around people whose Omumu is strong. Now, on a day-to-day basis, if you look at like for example, if you're around creative people, you become more creative. If you're around people who are depressed, you become more depressed. If you're around people who are athletic, you start considering, you know, hey, maybe I should play that sport, that kind of thing. And that's actually Omumu in play, right? The thing, that manifesting energy that comes from them, it's sympathetic. So yours will sync with theirs will sync with yours, and that kind of thing. So if you want your Omumu to be active, whatever it is you're trying to bring into the world, try to be around people who are bringing that thing into the world. And then to also be kind to that energy and to be giving to that energy and offering and giving it praises and things like that. There's a there's an older gentleman I spoke to, you know, he says that, you know, you have to treat it like a woman. Like, and what he was saying is that you have to, you know, hey, you look good today, that kind of thing, yada, yada, yada. So our day-to-day lives, it could look very simple as just like, let's say you're an artist, just appreciating your own art, you know, just appreciating your own art. Like, wow, I did a really good job on this one. And then moving on to the next one, you know, and it's hard to do that sometimes when you're the one who brings something into the world. You know, it's hard to do that, or the fact that a lot of times in order to be creative artistically, it helps to be around art. So you'll find a lot of artists, like a lot of musicians are inspired by listening to music that is at a level that they want to be at or does something that they want their music to do. It's a sympathetic energy. It's done with it. It's very communal. And then as far as Ikenga goes, it's just being true to yourself and being true to your resonance. The things that resonate with you are going to bring out your Ikenga, right? Even if they don't seem as poetic. Everybody always wants, or not everybody, but like a lot of times you think that these things have to be super poetic. Your Ikenga might activate when you watch Netflix, right? And and for you, that's just what that is. You know what I understand? And so a lot of times when it looks like that, because it's not very poetic or not very grand, you don't want to see it in that light. Whatever it is, you're probably going to it's probably something you underappreciate because it comes so natural to you. But once you start being more true to yourself and what you like and what things that make you happy and the things that bring that light out of you and resonate with you, your Ikenga will manifest. Now, a lot of people, my interpretations of things, I always like to see how it's done in ritual and what all of the things in ritual mean. So a lot of times you'll go to people and be like, okay, do this to that and this and that, and it'll activate this. But if you understand the meaning of those symbols, you'll be saying the exact same thing I'm saying. Because all ritual is a language. Ritual is a language. So there's people you'll ask and they'll say, hey, you know, how do I activate my Ikenga? It's like, oh, you have to do this and sacrifice XYZ to it and yada, 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 and that type of thing. And like, for example, like when you're going on a journey, oftentimes people will go to their Ikenga and say, I'm going on this journey. You know, I need you with me. I need you to be strong. This and this and that, yada, yada, yada. But when I come to what typically happens with Ikenga is if I'm able to make it successfully, I will reward you. If I'm able to make it successfully, I'll reward you. Then you'll read all these self-help books that say, always make sure to reward yourself in order to sustain an effort, right? Always make sure to stop and reward yourself or do this, or like if you're on a diet, okay, you've gone this long on the diet. reward yourself. So it's the exact same thing. It's if you take the ritual and understand what the language is saying, you see how these things play out. Someone said Netflix always activates like Ikenga. Hell yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Netflix will activate the hell out of somebody's Ikenga. I got a HBO Max, and I've just been watching a lot of Wayans Brothers and old DC stuff. And yeah, maybe that has something to do with it. You know, it's funny too because you'll sit around and watch these things and you'll think that, oh, okay, that I'm just wasting time or whatever. But there's something about it that's telling you something important, right? Something about that thing is important. You know, it's a lot of, you know, when people are talking about their chi, I always say, oh, how do I know what my chi wants? It's typically like take whatever it is you do when you have no other obligations and you're not trying to just relieve stress. I think that's another thing we do. We're trying to relieve stress, so we'll just do something to do it. The thing that you have to stop yourself from doing, that's usually facing the direction you should be facing. So I think with that being said, I'm going to hop out. I want to thank you guys for being here. I think I'll do these more frequently too. So if you guys are interested, let me know. They will be, like I said, I'm not feeling too well, so they're going to be better put together in the future. As always, thank you guys. Dance, art, movement are also means of communication. Absolutely, yes. Be the infinity. I agree. So all right, you guys, take care. I'll see you next time. And if you are not subscribed already, hurry up and do that. If you are not a part of the Patreon, hurry up and do that if it's something that you're able to do. For our Patreon, we have a group study where we do this twice a month, but we discuss back and forth different topics, different ideas and stuff like that. And that's become my favorite part of the month is doing those group studies. We also have an in-house DBA for anybody who's interested in going further or like who's looking for specific help on specific things like readings and so forth. We have an in-house DBA for our higher tier patrons. And then we have access to my research library, which is everything I use to research for my videos. They're all organized by topic. I add to them, if not daily, maybe weekly. I add new things just every single time I'm doing a video. There's a whole new collection of things going in there. So there are hundreds and hundreds of, hundreds of documents. Books are in there. I have things that fall apart in there. I'm trying to get the Igbo version of things fall apart. Like it just goes on and on and on. And that's available to all patrons. So if you come in there, that would be another benefit. So yeah, it's patreon.com/the medicine shell. I'll type the link for anybody that's interested. Patreon.com/the medicine shell. The most important thing about the Patreon is that it's for the advancement and helping the channel. So if it's for helping the channel and things like that. So if you want to help the channel, that's one of the best ways to do it. Another way to do it for anybody who doesn't have that option at the moment is to just share these videos with somebody you think would be interested, or somebody you think that may benefit from taking a look at them. I know a lot of you guys do that pretty regularly, and I'm grateful for that. So with everything said, this is Derek Father-in-law with the Medicine Shell. Derek Father-in-law with the Medicine Shell. Kachifo, Nugadi. Take care.